Can we just go through a list of all the positive things that you could say about the 49ers at 5-5 through 10 games this season?
Yeah, I mean,
Just
there's
to put it
actually
on the table.
yeah, there's a lot of positive things that you can say, and I think there's a lot that's changed over the last 2 weeks. I think for the first things first, I mean the positives you could say the same positives that we could have said when they were 2-5. I mean, you could talk about Debo Samuel, Trent Williams, Nick Bosa, all the Jimmy Ward, all the guys who've been stellar all season long. But to me, the real positives you want to talk about specifically the last 2 games is one, the 49ers are seemingly finding an identity on how they can win football games. Two, they finally showed some level of consistency, maintaining a relatively similar level of play. First against a division rival in a primetime game with their season on the line, and then having to travel cross country and maintain that same level and not let down after,
Mhm.
winning maybe the most emotional game of the season for them. So that's another positive. You can talk about Kyle Shanahan. His play calling has been brilliant the last 2 weeks in terms of
Mhm.
how he's able to manage his entire offense, how he's able to protect his defense and maximize
Mhm.
them. I think it's been all around as a head coach. His play calling has suited his team and has been exactly what's required. There's so many things you can go. You can talk about the play of Jimmy Garoppolo. He's not turning the ball over. He's playing solid. He's throwing the ball accurately. The Rams game, he played very, very well. I didn't think he played that well yesterday, but he's had a stretch of 4 or 5 really solid games in a row. That's a positive. I mean, you can go down the list. I think there's a lot of positive things you can say. I'm sure you would mention them too, but I
I just want
mean,
to get everything on the table so we don't miss anything, because Niner fans want their flowers today, and I want to give them to them. So Brandon Ayuk, there
of
was a lot of
course,
hand wringing about
of
Brandon Ayuk early
course,
in the season. He looks terrific.
he looks awesome.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
that's another one.
it's funny, and I was
Trey
joking.
Sermon, he looks pretty
Yes,
good.
Elijah Mitchell looks pretty good.
Yeah.
George Kittle has been great since he's come back from injury. I mean, you
He's
can go down the
finally a
list.
red zone threat.
But here's the thing. Here's what's funny to me, and we were laughing about this on the phone because I saw a little bit on Twitter that, especially because Mr. Roscoe said he was like, "Man, Grant, you were way too negative," and I kept that like thread kept popping up in my timeline, and I
Mhm.
just thought it was hilarious how Grant Cohn's approval of the 49ers is so necessary. Like I personally am enjoying the wins as a 49ers
Yeah.
fan. It's not been a lot of times in my life, frankly, for the last 15 years as a Niners fan that I've been able to enjoy 2 wins in a row. It's
Good
been
point.
rough from
Good
that
point.
standpoint for 15 years, so I'm enjoying them. But I see a lot of people real wrapped up that Grant isn't enjoying them as well, and I just find that entire line of thinking kind of funny that you have become so important that you have to acknowledge and appreciate the 49ers. Otherwise, we can't enjoy the fact that
And
they've
like the
played
day
really
after
well the last two
conversation
weeks.
is like, was Grant high enough on the 49ers win? It's like, who cares what I thought? What do you think with the 49ers at 5 and
Exactly.
5? Yeah. So, I mean, at
But
5
yeah,
and 5, a team's kind of an ultimate Rorschach test. They're not good. They're not bad. You can kind of read into whatever you want to see. If you want to see a team that's on the rise, you can find that. If you want to see a team that's flawed, you can definitely see that. They've lost 5 games.
hmm
But more positives. More positives. Arden Key, out of nowhere. Look, 3
yeah.
sacks in the last 3 games. He's a positive.
And
D'Amico Ryans.
it's not
Sorry.
just the sacks, right?
Yeah.
He's
Yep.
consistently been a viable pass rusher for them. I think Arden Key the last 3 games has shown he's just flat out a better player than Samson Ebukam,
Yep.
especially if you're just going to use Ebukam solely as an edge rusher. Ebukam has had a very rough season. I know people think he's turned the corner or whatever. He is not the player that they expected him to be. He's not a fit for the wide nine to be used as a 9 technique speed rusher the way D Ford is.
Dakota Watson.
That's not his game. I think that we acknowledge that's not his game as a natural pass rusher before, but at least Arden Key is stepping into that role.
Yeah.
You can go down the list, right? Al Shayer has had a couple good games in a
Boom.
row.
Emmanuel Mosley. Nice little
Yeah,
signing. Good player.
he's had a
Yep.
good season.
He should be your starter next year. He's a good number
Jo-
2 corner.
Josh Norman forces a fumble every game.
Hey, nice. Yeah, that's true. Give him credit. Give him credit. Are we missing anything? D'Amico, he's had
Yeah.
some rough games, but he's always bounced back, and he's coaching very well. That's a good defense. I feel like it's a well-coached unit. I like the structure of that defense. They just need some better corners. And that's
Yeah.
not D'Amico's fault.
And I think they need a better defensive line too. I think that that's
Well,
the
yeah.
big problem.
Yeah.
It's not that their
They
defensive
need
line
Kinlaw
isn't good.
back and
It's a
Ford
good
back. Yeah.
defensive line, but when
Yeah.
you've invested so much, it can't
Sure.
just be a good
Yeah.
defensive
They
line. It
need
has to
Kinlaw
be a
to come
great
back
one.
and be a baller next year. They really do. Are we
Yeah.
missing anything before we move on? Because we're gonna start talking big picture in a minute. Are we missing anything to put
Maybe
on
I
the
did I
positivity
mention
table?
did I mention how good Nick Bosa has been? He
Nick
looks like he
Bosa. Oh
hasn't
no, let's
lost a
talk about
step
that.
at all.
I
Yeah.
mean, he had another torn ACL. He's better than he was his rookie year, which I found. I didn't. People were saying he's going to be better. I'm like, really? He is. It's amazing how well he rehabs. I mean, there's a lot of history in it in the family. The dad's career was ruined this way, and I think he's really, really protected his kids, and they're very good at bouncing back. So good for them. That's a really good
Yeah.
development for the 49ers. Nick Bosa.
I mean, he's been, but I mean, him, Trent Williams, Debo, those guys have been pretty much, even at the worst of times, they've been playing outstanding as
That is true.
individuals. So it's really tough to, talk about them now today when they've really just maintained an elite, consistent level of play all season.
Okay. So if there's any more positivity, people watching, speak now or forever hold your peace, because we're going to start talking realness. Joe says we're not ready for Thielen and Jefferson at SMH. See, Niner fans are already way ahead
No,
of us.
but nobody. I'll put it to you like
Yeah.
this: nobody is ready for Thielen and
Good
Jefferson.
point.
I've not seen a corner guard Justin Jefferson consistently for an entire game at any point in his NFL career.
Niner Bot says Lance is a glorified cheerleader. His only job is to stand in the sideline and dab people up. He's not taking Jimmy job anytime soon.